And we begin at 5 o'clock with the city's fight to curb violent crime.
Mayor Joe Hogsett and IMPD Chief Randall Taylor called the media together today to talk about the city's response to growing violence across the city. But that announcement left some community groups with some questions they had before it even started. We have team coverage once again tonight, starting with News 8's Demi Johnson.
Yeah, city leaders calling this spike in crime unacceptable and even admitting not enough has been done to stop it. Mayor Joe Hogsett, IMPD Chief Randall Taylor, Community Violence Reduction Director Shauna Majors, and City-County Council President Bob Ossoly gave remarks at the Rising Star Apartments on the east side. The city is working with that neighborhood right now with the help of a grant and series of outreach programs. Mayor Hogsett called those programs a step in the right direction and said solving crime is not something IMPD can do alone. Chief Randall Taylor agreed, but also said murders have become so random, those partnerships and programs can't be all the city relies on.
Unless and until our community comes together and works together to eradicate even the beginnings of people being upset with one another, and until we get to the day, Mr. President, when some of those racial and equitable disparities are met, I think that the challenge will remain.
Sometimes we're able to identify those people and get them off the street. Now, I can't tell you how many murders that's kept from happening, but I know it's significant. But it's not enough. When you're hovering around 40 murders more this year than what we had last year, obviously we're not doing enough.
When asked what else could be done right now, no one had a clear answer. Instead, city leaders said it's not an issue that can be solved immediately and pointed to decades of poverty and systemic issues, which they said they're working to address right now. And Mayor Hogsett also said Indianapolis is not the only city dealing with these issues. He said this is happening in cities across the country. In Indianapolis, Demi Johnson, Wish TV, wishtv.com, and be sure to follow us on Facebook.
Demi, thank you very much. Meanwhile, faith leaders are now looking ahead to the addition of civilians on the IMPD Oversight Board. News 8's David Williams has that part of our team coverage.
The city of Indianapolis just came off the heels of a violent weekend.
When you look at the level of violence in the city of Indianapolis over the last 6 years, and each year we seem to gradually increase, I think Indianapolis is now heading toward becoming the next Detroit or Baltimore.
As cities nationwide deal with violence, they're also hearing the voices of the people. There have been local and nationwide protests against police brutality and calls for reimagined policing. Last night, the Indianapolis City-County Council approved an ordinance that adds civilians to the group that oversees Metro Police policy.
Man, I am so excited. Like that is a historic moment. Like, this is a historic moment that we're in right now.
The ordinance will create a 7-member general orders board that would write rules that govern the IMPD. 4 of them would not be members of the police department. The police chief, council, and mayor would each appoint 2 members, while the Fraternal Order of Police would appoint 1 member.
So when we look at accountability or the lack thereof, for law enforcement, for government officials, these type of policies allow us to have some input and some insight for the safety, the inclusion, and the thriving of our communities.
But not everyone agrees with the ordinance passing.
I'm against it. I'm against it because I think it takes away the power from the police chief.
Both faith leaders tell me their organizations want or plan to recommend people to be on the new review board. A city spokesperson tells me IMPD is reviewing the ordinance passed by the council last night and will work with stakeholders on next steps. In downtown Indianapolis, I'm David Williams, Wish TV, wishtv.com, and follow us on Facebook.